Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the vaping channel. Tonight I would like to talk to you about the Trident V2 by Tobeco. I purchased this from Kelvin at Kemurivapes. I believe I paid $18 or $19 for it, and quite a nice little atomizer. So I thought tonight I'd just do a really quick review. This is, I don't know, my umpteenth take. Getting late, so I'm just gonna go through this real quick, but overall nice device. So yeah, let's jump down and take a look at it. Okay, so here we are up close and personal with the Trident V2. This is by Tobeco, and it is a clone of the atomizer that was made by Grand Vapor. And this thing, for what it is and for what I paid for it, I'm very, very impressed with this. This is probably, in my vaping experience, probably the best bang for the buck I've experienced thus far. Now, to start with, it does have a copper contact here, so very good for your conductivity. And it also has an adjustable airflow option. So I'm going to take this apart just so I can show you guys a little better. On your airflow control ring, oops, you have two holes. You can take those holes and spin them around to line them up with these holes. Now, I don't know what the dimensions are of all these different holes. As far as I know, the largest one is 3 mil, and there's a second one down which I'd be guessing is maybe 2 mil. And so for the 3 mil hole, you only get one hole, so that's for a single coil. If you want to go dual coils, which, let me find it here so I can show you guys. There we are. Would be this hole right here, and that is a 2 mil hole, I believe. And you have the same hole on the opposite side. But other than that, you have your 3 mil, your 2 mil, and I don't know if that's maybe a 1 mil. And those are all for single coils. So it's basically, if you want a dual coil, you're only going to get that 2 mil hole. But from what I've used with it, it's pretty much been all you really need. So with that said, let's get this thing apart, which leads me to my next, I think it's a pro, you may consider it a con, and that is the O-ring. There's one single O-ring in here, and well, I mean, it's pretty good. It'll hold the top cap on without any problems. What I usually like to do, because this O-ring does such a good job of holding it on, is I usually juice this up just to give it some lubrication. I didn't in the beginning, and I noticed that the more I took the cap on and off, you could see little shreds of the O-ring coming off with it, and yeah. So I find just putting some juice on there as a lubricant works really well. Now for this video, I'm not going to do a build, because this is my third or fourth attempt at this video, and by the time I'm done filming it, if I keep doing these builds, I will have run through about 10 feet of friggin' Canthol. So we're just going to go with the build that's already on it. It's 7 wraps of 24 gauge Canthol, and it is sitting at about, I think it was 4.4 ohms. So we have these 3 posts here. I don't know if you can see that. And can I get it? These posts don't have the standard hole, one sec, that you're used to seeing in most drippers. If you take this screw right off, you'll see that there's actually a slot right down the entire post. Which, I mean, I think that's kind of helpful because you can only loose these screws off so far. And if you're using thicker gauge wire like 24 or even 22 gauge, it doesn't really, you have to really jimmy it in there with the screw on. So I find it's much easier to just take the whole screw off, lay your coil in there, put the screw back on, and then you can tighten it down accordingly. So anyhow, inside we have our Delrin insulator. I have not had any issues with that. I should add that I've been vaping on this for about a month and a half. It's got a respectable juice well in there. I can't really make any complaints about it. And inside our chamber here, it's what can you say about it? It's not bad. It's not huge, it's not tiny, but it puts out the flavor and it chucks the vapor, so I figured we could re-wick this thing and maybe do a few toots off of it and see the vapor production. And when I do this, I usually use a small amount of cotton wick. And forgive me if I'm flying through this, but as I've said, this is probably my fourth attempt at this video, or third anyways. And it's getting to be late on Sunday night, so I'm running out of time here. Anyhow, this is about as much cotton as I ever use in a dripper. In fact, that might even be a little more than normal. But all I do is take it and just gently get it all under the coil there. Just like that. And that seems to be working absolutely great in this dripper. So next thing, we'll juice this up and give it a quick fire and see how she does. Oh yeah. Absolutely awesome. So then all you're going to do is choose which air control setting you want, and since this is a single coil and respectably low ohm, I guess it's not 0.2 or anything, but low enough, I'm going to go for the largest air hole, which I better point out right now whistles, unless I'll add the unless you offset it just the tiniest bit, like so. It eliminates the whistle, but I'm not too concerned about it. There she be. This is the drip tip that originally came with it. I used it for a while. You know, it doesn't look too bad. It's a nice little drip tip. However, I did pick up something else later on that just, for me, is a little more aesthetically pleasing. So that's what I'm going to work with. And yeah, let's take it up and vape on it and talk about it for a few minutes. So there you have it, the Trident version 2 by Tobeco. As a side note or an afterthought, the one thing that I forgot to point out while I was in the up close was the top screws for the posts and the slots for the flathead screwdriver. They are pretty shallow, and you will almost definitely need a larger flathead screwdriver just to get in there enough to bite into the screw so you're not just spinning it and tearing the hell out of the top of it. But other than that, this is a solid dripper. I mean, for 19 bucks or 18, whatever it was, you can't go wrong with it. It's awesome. It's been, you know, this is a daily take along with me. You know, it goes to work. I use it at home. So, for what that's worth. But anyhow, yeah, if you're interested in one of these, you can get a hold of Kelvin at, oh boy, Kemurivapes. I will post a link to his email in the description for this video, and yes, if you would like to get a hold of one of these, definitely contact him. So I think I'm gonna call her quits at that, and we'll see about getting another video up this coming weekend. Have a good night and play safe and vape on.